Hello, how are you? Happy Saturday. We made it through another week. Thank you for tuning in for another episode of Wine with Wanda on Instagram Live. This is our fourth episode. So, rocking and rolling, just going to keep chugging along. So, I'm really excited about today's guest. It's the dynamic Dominga Cotarella of Famiglia Cotarella Winery, which was formerly and famously known as Falesco. The winery is located in Umbria, which is known as the Green Heart of Italy, and they're near Orvieto in the southwestern area that borders the Lazio region. And these are the two beautiful wines that I'll be sipping later when Dominga joins the call. But I'd like to tell you a little bit about Dominga before I bring her on. Looking at her family history, it seems that she was destined to be in the wine world. Her father is acclaimed enologist Riccardo Cotarella, and Dominga has been involved with her family's winery since she was a teenager. Dominga has a degree in agricultural sciences, and for several years, she worked in the marketing department at Antinori, another very important name in Italian wines. And that's where her uncle Renzo Cotarella is the longtime CEO and chief winemaker. Dominga began leading sales for Falesco in 2007, and in 2016, she and her cousins, Marta and Enrica, three strong, powerful, impressive women officially took over the company, and they changed the family business name from Falesco to Famiglia Cotarella. So, now we're going to add in Dominga, hear more about her fabulous story and about their great wines. So let's get started. The episode here. Waiting for Instagram technology.
Hi! How are you, Wanda?
I'm good. How are you?
Fine. Thank you so much to invite me to this Instagram Live. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You look beautiful as always.
Thank you. You too. We met in September and in another time, another moment, but it was wonderful. So today, thank you so much.
Thank you. So much has changed in our world since September. So first and foremost, how are you handling the COVID-19 situation?
I mean, I have to be honest. It's a difficult moment, sure. I mean, I can't say the opposite. But really, Wanda, I have to say something that in these 2 months, I should say I have the opportunity to think about my work, my job, my winery, my school, my farm, my family too.
Of course.
Yeah, and I took an advantage because normally in our life, if we think about, the time before the coronavirus, our life was, full of things, job, mother, manager, traveling, but I haven't time to think about my life. So time is a luxury ingredient. It's not so, obvious. We have no time normally. Now we have time. Maybe I should say that I'm afraid about the short future. I mean, the time we are going to live now, after the coronavirus, what we call in Italia fase 2, the fase 2, the phase, the moment we are going to live.
Of course.
Yeah, the real now, what we are going to live, what, the short future. Because we have to, to change maybe our business model, maybe our mentality, and what we took for granted before coronavirus now is not more anymore. So what I say that maybe in 2 or 3 years, maybe we are going to forget everything, or maybe not everything, because it's a global pandemic, so it's something very deep, very strong. But however, in 2 or 3 years will be easier, or however, it's the past. True. Now it's this time, this phase, and what we have to do to to look forward, or to manage according to the winery, according to our school. We have an academy for front office service now for the hospitality. Maybe we have to reflect about that. Maybe we have to change the way of receiving people, the way of talking about wine. You are a great journalist, wine journalist, and you know better than me. But maybe we have to change something, because now we have 2 ingredients. In one hand, we have the safety, the health of people, and it is the most important ingredient.
Of course.
Of course. I want to say every day when I talk with people, I say safety and health are, the main ingredients. But on the other hand, the way of communicating wines, hospitality, food. So if I think about my country, I should say made in Italy. The value of made in Italy, it's a great value.
Absolutely, it's priceless.
And maybe we have to change the way of talking about. I don't know, well, in which way, I don't really know, because I'm thinking about. And these 2 months of lockdown, I had the opportunity, the chance to, think about the winery, my family, even the school. If I think about social distance, safety advices are so far from, hospitality, restaurant industry. Why, if I think about our meeting in September, we had a table, we were
tiny
5
table
women, fantastic women, talking about wines, but a small table,
yes,
very
close
close
together,
to each other.
sharing
No social
food.
distance.
Well, one thing I remember about you is that you are not a person who's afraid of change. And I wrote down something you said in September. You said tradition is important, but it's the beginning of the process. So, your father and your uncle started Falesco in 1979. And then you and your cousin said, you know what? We are Famiglia Cotarella.
That's right.
So you're not afraid of change. Tell me what inspired you to make that change.
Yeah. I think that tradition is just the beginning, because it's our root, it's our story. It's very important because we have to be aware about who we are, so our past and our present, but looking forward to our future. And I have the chance to be a second generation with Marta and Enrica. We are 3 cousin sisters, as you know, but we consider each other.
I love
sisters.
it, Cotarella sisters, but you're cousins, but you're so close.
The reason why,
the sisterhood. I love it.
Yeah, and when I arrived in Falesco in 2006, I realized that Falesco was well known, obviously, but at that time didn't represent my family, and so after 5-6 years, 3 years ago exactly, I asked my father. I didn't ask my father. I told my father, really, and my uncle at the same time, because as you know, Falesco belonged to both. I mean, my family, Renzo is my uncle, is the CEO of Antinori. My father, Riccardo, is the winemaker in a lot of wineries in the world. And but me, Marta, and Rica, we work just in Famiglia Cotarella Winery. And I remember we went together, all 3 sisters, we went together to our fathers, and we told them we want to change the name of the company. My father looked at me, Dominga, you are crazy. I know you are crazy. Yes, believe me. It's not more or less, compared to what happened at that time. It's crazy, because I work for a lot of company. My name is linked to a lot of company. My name is linked to Antinori. Yes, you are right. But my name, Marta's name, Enrica's name, my family name is just this company. And I want to underline 2 words, Famiglia and Cotarella, and maybe Wanda. The most important word is Famiglia.
Or it's family.
Family, yeah, because family represents our DNA. Maybe it has Montano represent the DNA of the company, but the DNA of our group, our group is the right term. It's our family, where we were born, we raised. We talk about wine every day. I remember my grandfather when he used to give me some water and wine. Yeah, against any pediatric rules. I was just maybe 5, 6, 7, no more. And I still remember that time, where I shared with him this secret. And I still remember, the feeling, the flavor, the smell of that wine. So as you know better than me, wine is not, today drinking good wine is not so difficult, but the difference is made by people who you are tasting wine with.
Exactly.
The place you are, if you are with a friend, with your love, in a very nice moment. And it's the reason why I don't think that the future will be the delivery, or the future will be the online sales or the off trade. I think the future always will be the relationship.
True. Wine is about the connection. I always say I feel that so many of the problems in the world could be solved if you could sit around the table over wine, because instantly
Yeah.
the inhibitions come down. We get to know each other. And with that said, I think we should start talking about the wine, right?
Yeah, I have.
So I should, your husband, Pier Paolo, is the
Yeah.
winemaker.
Yeah, my husband is a winemaker. I have Sodale.
Yes, I have Sodale as
Yeah,
well.
true. My
So here we
husband
go.
is a winemaker. He worked with my father. Has been working with my father since he was 22 years ago, so a long time. And but he's a very shy. He wants to be in the back.
Oh, very
he
sweet.
loves wines. He loves vines, vineyards, but he doesn't like all this kind of speech. And so he says, Dominga, it's up to you. And I follow the production, the way of communicating wine and the amazing story behind the label. It's up to you, Marta and Enrica. So every one of us has his own role. And I think it's
And
better.
you complement each other,
Yeah.
balances
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
So, Sodale.
Sodale. Yeah.
Tell us about the name, Sodale.
Sodale means, a connection, because I have to say that Sodale 15 was the first vintage of Sodale. It was in a particular moment of our life, of our company, family company. We were in, as you know, we are in between Umbria and Lazio, but 3 years ago, we started a new adventure in Montalcino. With Brunello di Montalcino, a small company. We don't produce Rosso, just Brunello. 15,000 bottles, so it's small production. As I say, a homeopathic production of wine, but very, very high quality. 14 vintage was not so good in Montalcino, and so for that reason, my father, my husband, decided not produce Brunello 14, because I still remember they told me, Dominga, our Brunello is not our bread in terms of our main business, so we cannot produce Brunello 2014. In the same time, I listened to them, and they talk between each other about Montano. We have to increase the quality. We have to, maybe decrease the quantity. 30% of production, maybe we have to decrease. I was worried about. I said, okay, no Brunello, less Montano. At the end, I'm the sales manager in my company.
Of course, yes.
Yeah, I trust on you. I follow your decision, your choices, but I was worried, and so I say, Merlot is our family grape, and so for that reason, I say it belongs to our DNA. My father started in 1993 with Montano. And now maybe we have a good knowledge about this grape, and maybe we can think about a wine that is as French people say, the cru of our company. It's our first meeting with Merlot in our company. So when you will come to visit us, I hope as soon as you can.
I hope so too.
As soon as we can.
As we can. Yes.
Yeah, that's right. You understand that maybe the first Merlot wine we can share together is Sodale. That is Sodale is connected to the first one, that is Montano, of course. But Sodale is just, a friendly connection, a genetical connection with, the father, with Montano. That is our first crew premier crew in our company. So, and thanks to Sodale, we could change even the style of Montano. Montano today is much more important wine, much more elegant wine. Maybe it's an evolution, not a revolution. It's very important that, because, I'm very respected with tradition. As I say, tradition is our beginning. So, but it's our roots. And without roots, we cannot live as a plant. But thanks to Sodale, we could change even this little change, but very important change in Montano wine. So Sodale is 100% of Merlot, with the same grape that, until 14 we produce Montano. So it's the same grape, the same soil, the same, the same area, but, it's an early harvest, and where we consider, when we find a grape that is not so good for Montano, but it's good for, the first Merlot in our company is our grape from Sodale. As you know, Merlot is an earlier variety, so gets the ripeness earlier than Cabernet or other varieties. So normally we love, as 2015 is, very long season. For a winemaker, for an agronomy, as I am, or my husband is a winemaker, as you know, a long season is very important because, in a long season, we can get the right ripeness of every single ingredient.
Of course.
So, acidity, fruit, freshness, tannins, gentle tannins are very important. And normally when I taste Sodale, but more and more Montano, I say, I make this comparison, I don't know if you agree, like in an orchestra, where every single instrument is important as his own sound, but all together, arrive in a melody. So the melody and harmony where, every single ingredient is in the right place, but no one stands out.
No, that's so true. And, just this wine is always so balanced and so fresh.
Yeah.
And for those that just joined, I want to show the bottle again. It's the Sodale 2015.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad, I still feel that there are some here in the U.S. that still malign Merlot a little bit, maybe because of a certain film that we won't mention. But I think Merlot is such an elegant and pretty grape. And I think what you show with Sodale and then later with the Montano, is capacity for different expressions. Prettiness, but with structure and elegance and texture. But it's just so approachable. This is a beautiful everyday wine.
And normally I use this word. I don't know if it's a right word, a right American word, English word. I mean, normally I say it's a comfortable wine in the sense that you are in your comfortable zone.
Absolutely. No, it's
so
very.
We can talk. We can. So we are two friends. We are together. We can talk. We can working together. We can eat something, and we can drink. And this
finish
wine,
the bottle very easily.
And finish the bottle. I think the same. And maybe it's a wine that I should say doesn't want to take our attention. I mean, the wine is here. We can drink together. It's very pleasant, but we don't need to say, okay, let's talk about wine.
Exactly.
Let's stop what we are doing and let's pass to the wine.
It enhances the experience, but it doesn't dominate the experience.
That's right. So in this sense, it's that our comfortable zone wine. I don't know if it's the right word.
No,
but
comfort zone.
Perfect. Comfort zone, because where you are in family or you are in an area, you know everything. You can close your eyes and maybe you can move yourself without knowing where you are because you are in your comfortable zone. And this is our Sodale, and my idea. Sodale has this kind of course. I mean, in terms of vinification, we use more or less the vinification, the choice in winery are more or less the same because we harvest more or less at the beginning of September. It depends on the harvest, of course, but normally 15, even the 16 vintages were the same in terms of long season, very balanced season, not too hot, not too cold, but in the same time, very, very balanced. So we got good freshness, in the same time, elegance, red and even black fruit.
Absolutely, it gives you a lot.
That's right. The freshness of a fresh fruit, of a red fruit, but even the in terms of evolution of the importance of of a black fruit without falling jam taste. Very elegant, very.
And
fresh.
there's a mineral character too.
That
very prevalent.
This is the soil. Soil.
Very.
The volcanic
and affordable.
Soil.
Anyone looking to buy this for $25? This is an impeccable, really beautiful Merlot. So I recommend it. So let's talk about Montano.
Montano.
Really, an icon.
Such
a beautiful wine. So Montano, also 2015 vintage.
Maybe when we talk about Montano, I should say one upon a time, because it's a story. It's an amazing story of our family, of our winery. In 93, my father had this dream, to produce a wine, a very important wine. Maybe I should stay strongly connected to the area, to the territory where we are, but with, I should say, with international flavor, in the sense that, even for, just to say, it's not just a wine for for that area, but people from all over the world can appreciate it, you know. And as I say, I don't know, maybe I'd like to know your opinion, but when I talk about wine, I say, you know, the most important thing for a wine like Montano is the identity. I'm so, you know, people who know me, they say, Dominga, you are focused on identity. It's my pain. I want, you know, I try to find identity when I taste a wine, not just my wine, you know. But if I found an identity, maybe I find the origin. I know what we are going to taste. I know who I'm going to meet, you know, even in life, not just in a winery. And for a wine, there are 4 ingredients, I say, for identity. You know, the first 3 are the grape, Merlot, 100% of Merlot, Montano. The soil of our grape, where we cultivated this grape, is we have a clay. We have even volcanic soil, because we are on Borsena Lake. It's a volcanic lake, so even the soil is a volcanic soil, and the vintage, in this case, 15. And then, but for these 3, we cannot change anything, because the grape is the grape.
Yes.
Yeah. The soil is, we find the soil, and the weather, you know, as you know, the weather is not possible to manage.
If only, magari.
Magari, bravissima. The only thing we can change, or we can manage, is our, let me see, how can I say, it's our ability to, you know, to understand the pleasure. I'll give you an example. I'm a child. I'm 2 children, but the biggest one is Ricardo, is 14 years old.
Oh, wow.
Like my father, of course. And we study together now, because thanks to this time, we have time to go, you know.
Now you get to be the school teacher as well.
Yeah, yeah. And we study together literature, Italian literature, poetry, you know. And when we study a poem together, he looks at me and says, Mom, you are so happy when you read Dante, Divina Commedia, but why you are happy? And I say, Riccardo, you know, it's important, it's very nice to read Divina Commedia, Dante, you know. And I realized, but when I was 14, I was like my son. Because so the way of understanding pleasure, it depends on experience, on age, it depends on who you are. Even for a wine, what, you know, maybe 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, I wanted something different compared to what I want now. And when I produce a wine, I don't think to produce a wine for the trade, for the business, for the customer. I have to produce a wine that I love, because thanks to my love, I can say it to you. I can talk about my wine with you with passion, with love. Otherwise, it's very difficult to say something good when you don't think so.
It's true. It all comes down to authenticity. You know, like you said, being true to what that grape is, being true to the terroir, being true to your culture. And I think what I love about your wines is they're not over manipulated. They're beautifully made, but you still get that essence, that authenticity, that realness is what matters.
Yeah, even the intensity of the flavor. And Montano 15, we made 2 important different passages compared to the other vintages. The moment we choose the barrels. Normally, until 14, we bought barrels in May, maybe in April, so before the harvest time, harvest season starts. For 15 and 16, we bought barrels in September. So when we had the grape in the company, in the winery, just because we wanted to see, you know, the quality of the grape, and according to that, to choose the right barrels for the right grape. Because, I think it's so small quantity, small quantity, and every single quantity vinify in a tailor way. It's important. It's very important, because, you know, barrels are so different. And
so true. Can do a lot of damage or can enhance. So you have to be so careful.
We use Taranso barrels, so that remains outside for 5 years, so it's a long time. Nice. So it's so important, you know. And even in terms of elegance, you can recognize in this wine this kind of, and even the time of maceration and the temperature. Normally we have long time of maceration, but not so high temperature. No, normally we don't want to go over 90-95 Fahrenheit, because I think that temperature, if we manage temperature, we can control the extraction. So now we want to have wine. I hope Montano is, I think that Montano represents this kind of style, very rich in flavor, very intense in flavor, but not even heavy wine, so without superstructure.
Yes, it's bold, but it's still fresh. It's rich.
Yeah,
it's graceful. It's very
today
elegant.
I think customer wants this kind of, and I love this wine.
Oh,
so
it's showing
where you can find personality, richness, but without being heavy.
Yeah, it doesn't knock you on the head. It's like a beautiful aria that's bold and elegant. It still has lift and it rises. And we should mention Montano is a single vineyard, Merlot.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
What's so special about that particular vineyard?
It's a single vineyard. All plants are together, and it means that from an agronomical point of view, we can manage, we can control. Like a little family inside a big family. You can follow every single step during the harvest. You can choose particular choices of pruning, of a different kind of harvest. Normally, just to give you an example, in this single vineyard, before the harvest of Montano, we make a selection in June on the shoot, when the shoot is more or less 30 centimeters. So we enter the vineyard and we choose, this is good, this is not good. So a selection, a real selection.
A much smaller production of the Montano than the Sodalo, clearly.
Yeah, of course.
And in the US, this is about $66, so it is an investment, but first of all, this is a wine that will age beautifully. It has that structure, but it's delicious now and it's approachable. So I think it's worth the splurge. Personally, it's just, what would you like to, where do you pair this with? For both wines, what do you like to eat with these wines?
Really, if I think about our traditional cuisine, my grandmother was a very good cuoca. I don't want to say chef because she said, I'm not a chef, I'm cuoca, una cuoca. And she was wonderful. She was a very strong woman. And maybe with the pate, the liver pate is our family recipe. It's wonderful.
Oh, beautiful.
I want to say, the secret of the recipe in English. So, no one, maybe most of your followers can understand, but not everyone will follow me normally. The green apple. The green apple? Yeah, for the acidity. And maybe you can taste, a good flavor, good taste, but without so much in liver, liver taste. And so my grandfather, it's wonderful. Green apple with, of course.
I love chicken liver, so when I come to visit one of these days.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe we can prepare together.
Love it.
We have, and then, with another good pairing is agnello.
Okay, which lamb?
Yeah,
right?
Lamb, but agnello alla Romana, because it's important. I say agnello alla Romana, it's because it's a real example that wine and food, Italian wine and food are so
they're a marriage. They go hand in hand.
Yeah. And the place where you are, we live in between Lazio and Umbria, and I don't know why, but if we match our wines with the Roman recipe, so cacio e pepe, cacio e pepe,
which we had.
Lupa restaurant, it's true.
In Lupa, yes.
Yeah, or matriciana, or agnello. It's a typical Roman recipe. With Montano is wonderful. It's wonderful, believe me. So it's not I think it's not something we can take for granted, but it's maybe natural DNA that food from a territory is naturally connected with the wine from the same territory. I think it's important.
Makes sense. Well, one fun thing I like to do with my guests, the word wine in English, if you add an H to it, it means wine, which means to complain about something. So I ask all of my guests to whine about one wine thing that bugs you. it's a trend or maybe a misconception that people have. So one of mine would be, I hate the fact that people don't understand Merlot and dismiss it.
Yeah.
So do you have something you want to whine about?
I mean, maybe I'd like to, to connect with what you are talking about. I mean, Merlot. When I hear about Merlot, is a grape that gives the same results everywhere, without considering the soil, without considering the area where Merlot is cultivated. Believe me, I'm so angry about that, because it's not true. And I make this example. I'm Dominga, and I'm the daughter of Riccardo and Maria Teresa. They are my parents. From a genetical point of view, I represent 50% of Dominga is from my genetical parents, but the rest is Dominga. I was born in Orvieto 46 years ago, and I live in Orvieto with my experience. So Dominga, who is Dominga now, is a mix between genetical and the environment where Dominga is growing up. If Dominga was born in New York, maybe he should speak in better English. But however, Dominga, would be another person.
Exactly.
Even with the same parents. So
true. Nature versus nurture, you say.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same for the grape, for a vine. We have to consider that the vine produces for itself, not for us. So it's something different. I still remember when I was in university, my teacher, agronomy teacher, told me that, Dominga, let's think about the vine and make the comparison between a vine and a man, and think that the vine produces for itself, for the species, not for producing Montano or Sodale, no? So let's think that, it's a natural passage, but the soil, the terroir, the cru, the terroir, maybe it's a general word just to give you all things, make the difference.
Absolutely.
So,
before we go, I want to give you a chance, just to show again how forward thinking you are. You mentioned your school a couple of times, and some people may not know, what is this school she's referring to? I was so impressed when you told me about that back in September. So I want to give you a moment to talk about the school that you started.
You have to come back and to come back. You have to come
yes.
and to visit the school, because the school is maybe it's my proud project.
Absolutely.
I mean, because I normally say that we have the chance to everyday the company. My father, my uncle gave us a great project. Company, wine, and so on. Passion about this job, because what we are doing is not what we have to do, but what we want to do. So it's a great fortune. But 5 years ago, traveling all around the world and talking with my customers, the restaurants or wine bar owners and so on, they told me, Dominga, front of the house is a problem. We cannot find people for with a professional approach in the hospitality, in the service. So in a simple way, like I'm telling you now, I came back home and I phone Marta, I call Erica, and I call my mom and my aunt, because all women, and I say, we have to organize a school, an academy. And I still remember Marta, who is the director of the school, she told me, yes, I'm with you, like always, I should say. And we start the dream, from the dream to idea, the idea to realize the idea, and then Intrecci, the name of the school, was born 3 years ago. It's an academy, it's a campus, it's a college where our students, no more than 25, they stay for 8 months, and then they start another experience of 6 months in internship. So in very important restaurants all over the world. So in Italy, in US, in New York, in Germany, in France, and Switzerland. And I think it's a great opportunity, because we invest on young people who have passion for this kind of job. that consider, the art of serving, or, front of the house, not just something to do while I'm trying to find another job, or while I'm, study at university, but, it's my mission, it's my, my job, my life job. And so I want to invest, I want to study. As I told them, you have to study every day, study and study and study, because, not knowing is not an excuse. I can say, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know that. Maybe, you cannot know everything, but you have to study. And so now, because of the coronavirus, they are, at that moment, they are in their house because they cannot stay at the school. But we are going to, to make a lot of e-learning, so online lessons, but, we are looking forward to having them in the school. Maybe we start. I hope to start again in September, because
Wonderful.
now we have the third academy course. So now we have the third. In October we are going to start the fourth. And so maybe with Marta we were talking about that. Maybe the end of the third and the beginning of the fourth. Maybe we have to match. We have to connect it. But in Trecci the name is connection. So everything is a real connection.
And Trecci, everything's a connection.
Yeah, link and liaison.
Well, thank you so much. I want to show the wines again. So, they have a great portfolio, but if you want to get started, Sodale 2015, Montano 2015, both beautiful expressions of Merlot that will not disappoint you. You can find them on Instagram at Cotarella_sisters. And the website is familiacotarella.it.
Yeah.
And Dominga, so great to see you again. I'm glad you and your family are safe, first and foremost. And thank you for sharing your beautiful wines. Really.
I'm waiting for you in my house, in my winery, in my school, and so
I may never leave.
Yeah, why not? So you can help us to to teach our students about wines. So,
if you need a fourth Cotarella sister, you can.
Yeah. Un abbraccio. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Grazie.
Ciao,
Stay
ciao.
safe, everyone.
Un abbraccio a tutta la Winebow. Un abbraccio a Winebow.
Yes, thank you to Winebow very much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Ciao.
Ciao.